I cannot believe it is week 1 and I am already making this video. The things I'm seeing on Twitter are just absolutely insane. I'm seeing people say that Geno Smith, they would rather have him than Trevor Lawrence at quarterback, that Geno Smith wins that game against Washington. Do I need to address that? Do I need to say anything to that? Well, I'm going to anyways. Just got to talk about this whole bust thing that's going on the timeline right now, and everyone in basically the entire fan base just in shambles. I feel like I need to make this video like right away because this is crazy. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about Trevor Lawrence and is he a bust? Let's get into it. All the talk about Trevor Lawrence coming out of college was that he was a generational prospect. A guy with the talent level that we haven't seen since guys like, Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, even, all the way back to John Elway. I mean, the guy won a national championship at the age of 18 and had lost 4 games coming into the NFL in his entire career. In high school, college, 4 total games. As a prospect, he checked every single box imaginable. Anything you want in a modern style quarterback, Trevor Lawrence had, and then some. So to be given the term, generational prospect, it holds a lot of weight to it, and it adds so much expectation. And, sometimes it's a little bit too much expectation. I think the bar was set a little bit too high. And I think that's why the fan base is so frustrated right now, is because we were pretty much told that whole offseason, the way we tanked for Trevor Lawrence, that we were going to get this guy who's just going to transcend the franchise right away, take us from, 0 to hero instantly. And that's just not the case. And if you expected that, I think, again, you set your expectations just a little bit too high. Coming into the NFL, I mean, like I've been saying, his expectations were, the highest we'd ever seen, essentially. He was selected number 1 overall, which means you are going to the worst team in the NFL with the worst situation. And that couldn't have been more true. In that season in 2021, we went 3-14, ended up with the number 1 pick again. In that season, Trevor completed 59.6% of his passes for 3,641 yards, 12 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, and a 71.9 quarterback rating. Obviously, not that great. He led the league in interceptions. The yards were really nothing to show for. Definitely by no means is that a great season from a quarterback. Not at all. But there's always more to the story. It's not always black and white. In his rookie season, he had to deal with Urban Meyer as his head coach. And arguably, I don't think it's even in question, Urban Meyer was the worst NFL head coach of all time. Whether it was on the field or off the field, it really didn't get much worse than Urban Meyer. He created a toxic work environment, off the field issues with, the whole bar incident. Not taking the team flight home, losing the locker room, kicking players, mispronouncing players' names, just being a complete arrogant to the other coaches. It just created an awful work environment where I'm not sure anyone would have thrived. The offense also dealt with a lot of injuries, as most NFL teams do, but that definitely hurts the development of a young rookie quarterback. We lost guys like DJ Chark, Jamal Agnew, Travis Etienne, Dan Arnold. Those are significant injuries. They may not be the biggest names, but those guys were, as embarrassing as it is, those were huge pieces of our offense. Even the guys that did play were pretty bad. I mean, our separation, I'll throw up a chart here. This was in late November. These were our average yards of separation per route run. Take a look at these numbers. We were creating no separation, and then we're up there at the top of the league with drops. In 2021, the Jags ranked at the top of yards lost by drops. Trevor Lawrence missed out on 292 yards because of 41 drops. To put this in perspective, the player in second had 31 drops. That's 10 drops less. And even if you want to ignore all of those things I just said and, call them excuses, that's fine. At the end of the day, it was his rookie season. He's a 21-year-old quarterback at the time. He's 21 years old, coming into the NFL in an awful situation with a pretty terrible team around him, and he struggled. I'm not sure how that's a shock to anyone. Not everyone can be Justin Herbert, come into the NFL and set the league on fire. The guy came into the league, was able to sit for a few games, comes in with Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, and Austin Eckler on his offense. That's a whole lot better than Laviska Shenault, Marvin Jones, and Tavon Austin. Just because he's not putting up, 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns off rip does not mean he's not capable of doing that. It just didn't happen in his first season. I think we need to, take a step back and look at the fact that it usually takes more than, a season to really set yourself up for success. The first season is for development and getting used to the pace of the league. You're not expected to come in, even if you are coined a generational prospect, to come in and throw for 5,000 yards and lead the league in passing touchdowns. You don't see that often. Justin Herbert is an anomaly. Look at Josh Allen. I know people are, sick of hearing this, but go look at Josh Allen's first year numbers. Go look at his second year numbers. He was atrocious. It takes time for guys to get settled in this league. And Trevor Lawrence is no exception to that. But yeah, the amount of bust tweets I'm seeing on my timeline is just like, guys, take a step back and breathe. Relax. Okay? It was one horrendous season with a bunch of, toxicity and distractions just everywhere. I'm not sure anyone could have thrived in that situation, let alone a 21-year-old rookie. We are in his second season and we have played one game. One game. This is his first game under a brand new head coach, a brand new offensive coordinator, a brand new playbook, and a brand new wide receiving core. It takes time for this chemistry and comfortability to set in. It's not going to happen right away. I know last season scared a lot of people. It scared me a little bit. But just take a step back and realize it doesn't have to happen right away, and especially not after one game. Okay? To just throw this term out there already is just wild to me. If we look back on this in a year from now, by the end of the season, and he puts up a similar season to last year, yeah, you can hit the panic button. Absolutely. But to be throwing the word bust around right now after one game is pretty crazy. In that game, there were a lot of factors that led to a poor performance, and not even a poor performance, really. There were a couple throws that he would definitely want back. Were there misses? Absolutely. But the offensive line play was atrocious. Out of 45 dropbacks from Trevor Lawrence, there were 20 quarterback pressures. Almost half of his dropbacks had pressure in his face. That cannot happen. I know Washington is a good front seven, their front four especially, but that just cannot happen. Ben Barch played horrible. Jawan Taylor actually played pretty well. Just had to leave the game for cramps. I saw some people thinking he was benched for Walker Little. That wasn't the case. He had cramps on that drive. Cam Robinson really needs to play better. He was pretty bad last week as well. Brandon Scherf wasn't too extraordinary either. Luke Fortner, a rookie. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, just really poor pass protection by the O-line. Great in the run game, but pass protection, really, really bad. He was getting hit way too much on throws. And that led to a couple of his misses. Like that Marvin Jones pass that he missed. He got hit on that play. I didn't see it live time, but yeah, looking back on it, he got hit on that play, forcing that throw to be inaccurate. Bottom line is, he does have to play better. I'm not going to argue that. He had a couple misses throughout preseason and a couple misses here in week one. Absolutely. I'm not going to discredit that. You have a reason to be frustrated. Some of these passes are, I would expect college players to be able to hit some of these passes. That pass to Travis Etienne in the end zone, not the one he dropped, but the overthrow in the first quarter. Even that throw that he did drop, that ball needs to be placed better. It's a catchable ball, but it needs to hit him in the chest. Zay Jones, that pass in the out route, that's got to be there too. Will a superstar, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase go get that football? Probably. But, Zay Jones wasn't able to get there. So definitely, yeah, a few misses, absolutely. But I am not ready to throw this word bust around just yet. That is wild. Trevor Lawrence is such a young QB with such an elite level of talent. It is just going to take some time. His development all of last season, I believe, was held back by Urban Meyer and his, incompetency as a head coach in the NFL. Let him work with an actual head coach in Doug Peterson this year and let him develop through Doug. I think you have to give him the benefit of the doubt and give him this year. Give him this year to prove to you whether he was worth that number one selection or not. Let's give him a year to develop under Doug Peterson. He's 22 years old, has so much talent and so much potential. Let him work with an actual NFL head coach for a year before we start throwing around the word bust. It takes guys time. Take a step back, relax. Are there some issues? Were there some misses in week one? Absolutely. But let's give it a little time under a competent head coach and a better support system before we start throwing out the word bust. Please. I still very much believe in Trevor. Absolutely. Am I worried a little bit? Yeah, I'd be lying if I wasn't. But with an actual head coach, like I've said before, in Doug Peterson, a better receiving core, you got Travis Etienne back, you got a better run game, I think he can thrive. I think you just got to give it time. So with all that being said, thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a like and let me know in the comments how you guys are feeling after week 1. And make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Gonna be pumping out content all season. Appreciate you guys watching. And as always, go Jags.